Hey, what's up everybody? I'm SuperSonicJB and it's time for my favorite pastime, guys. Reading the mail and giving out all my personal information to total strangers online. Let's go ahead and start with this one, shall we? Dear SuperSonicJB, your mission, if you choose to accept it, which you will because you have no other choice, is to play through a bunch of James Bond 007 video games. This mission will be a very difficult one, and it'll teach you a lot about how to be a spy. We are sending one of our agents over to teach you how and help you on your mission. Good luck. Signed, not available. See here, P.S. This message will self-destruct. Unfortunately, we didn't have the budget to make the paper blow up, so you'll have to destroy it yourself. I win! Oh hey, someone's at the door. Hi, can I help you?
We got him.
Nice clothes, but the funeral home is down the street.
Just up, JB. I'm Agent 669, but my friends call me the Soup Guy.
Nice nickname. My friends call me the guy who owns Nicktoons MLB.
I'm an undercover spy sent here to assist you. On behalf of my organization, I'm required to ask if you have anything on you.
Well, I have my sunglasses here and a copy of the Sonic Adventure 2 Battle Manual. Man, I never leave home without this thing. Can you imagine if I forgot how to spin dash in real life?
Hey. Okay. You can take my wallet. I don't want that. How do you spin dash in Sonic Adventure 2?
Can I see your sunglasses?
Sure, why? What was that for?
They could have been shipped.
It's sunglasses, not a microphone.
Can I come in?
I don't see why not, Mr. Sue.
Hey, it's Mr. the Soup Guy. Got it?
Okay. Anyways, what are you doing here?
I'm assuming you got a letter?
Oh, you mean a death threat letter of me saying Shrek on the GameCube sucked?
No, but I do need to see that later. I'm talking about the letter that the organization sent you.
Oh, you mean the one I shredded up earlier? Yeah, I remember that one.
I'm here to help you on your mission to play through some James Bond 007 games.
Do I get a sue?
Got milk?
Yeah, I think so.
That hit the spot.
So am I gonna learn how to be a spy?
Look, being a spy isn't easy. You gotta know what you're doing, and you gotta know how to shoot people like that.
But I'm already wearing a suit.
Shit! Didn't think that one through.
James Bond, also known as Agent 007, is one of the best known fictional characters out there. I mean, who hasn't heard of this awesome British spy who's always saving the world? Put your hand down, Timmy, you don't count. 007 has been around for many years now, and has had loads of movies. He's also been rebooted more times than Sonic, so that's an accomplishment. And since the movies were so popular, companies decided to make the Bond franchise into its own gaming series, which we will be looking at today. These games have been around for many years now, so let's check them out. The first game we're going to be looking at today is James Bond 007 for Atari 2600. You know, that old gaming console famous for having E.T. on it? This game was released way back in 1984 and was published by Parker Brothers. In this game, you drive James Bond's car through several levels from the old movies. These movies including Diamonds Are Forever, The Spy Who Loved Me, and Moonraker. You have to drive your car through these different levels and avoid the obstacles in your path. Your car can also transform into a submarine, but watch out for those frogmen in the water! Man, they look like they're having a great time. The game itself is okay. It mostly got positive reviews when it first came out. But the game's difficulty is a little much. You will die a lot when playing this game. And that's all I really want to say about this game. Up next we have another old school game titled James Bond 007 A View to a Kill. It's a game once again inspired by a movie. In this game you have 3 different levels to play through. You can drive around Paris and look for Mayday. You can try and escape from a burning building and explore the mines to disable some bombs that will wipe out everything. Overall, it's a mediocre game at best. The controls aren't very good, the game runs very poorly, and it just didn't do James Bond justice in the video game department. But then came along James Bond 007, The Duel. Now this one's pretty good. It's a 2D shooter platformer that was actually its own original story. Well, kind of. I mean, there's barely any actual story whatsoever in this game. It mainly just run around and shoot things, but it's fun. Well, that guy's dead. In this game, you play through tons of unique and different levels, and you can even get to battle some classic James Bond villains along the way. You also get to save a lot of women, or in this game's case, the same lady several times. Man, if you thought Peach gets kidnapped a lot, this lady will make you think twice. This game controls so much better than the other games mentioned before. Your movement feels fast and responsive, platforming is actually fun, and the bosses are all unique and fun to fight. This game was truly a big help for making the 007 series stand out from its competition out there. Wait, I can use a jetpack?
Just take my money now!
Overall, I'd say if you want to play a retro-style 2D shooter James Bond game, try this one out, cause it's great. Now this next game is huge because it was developed by Rare back in the 90s. You know, the company responsible for the Donkey Kong Country games. But then they were bought out by Microsoft and are pretty much dead now. Yeah, that Rare. So back in the mid-90s, they got the license to the Bond series and made GoldenEye 007 on the N64. This game was revolutionary to the series. It was the first 007 game made entirely in a first-person shooter 3D environment. In this game, you invade a bunch of enemy bases to get some info on a deadly weapon known as the GoldenEye. In the first level, you make your way through the enemy base and shoot everyone you see while listening to some awesome music. I really gotta hand it to the developers here. This game is so much fun. It's especially cool that we actually get to see what locations from the movies we're at thanks to the updated graphics. We even get to commit suicide while doing a T-pose. Okay, well really, you're doing a reenactment of the big bungee jump scene from the movies. But come on, he's doing a T-pose! We can also use our laser watch to solve puzzles. Is your watch also a laser watch too?
Of course it is. Every secret agent has one.
Can I try it out?
Sure, don't see why not.
Thanks!
Shit! My pancreas!
I really love the attention to detail in this game. I mean, you have file folders displaying what your mission is, and the environments look pretty good for the graphics back then. I especially love how I can just sneak into a bathroom and shoot a guy when he's doing his business. And then some other guy next door over comes out shooting at me. Why he had a gun in the bathroom when he was doing his business, I have no idea. The game did a lot for this series, and my only real complaint about this game are the fact that the enemy AI isn't the best. Now sure, if you're surrounded by enemies, it can be a little stressful, but these guys have awful aim and will just stand there so that you can end their suffering. I mean, it could be worse. It could be playing Garfield Threat of the Space Lasagna instead. There's also difficulty settings for each mission, and the harder ones tend to have new objectives to help keep the game from becoming too repetitive. The game's levels are super open, and you can beat a mission pretty much however you want. If I wanted to blow up everything in sight, I am free to. I also love how you can switch your weapons using your watch, and you can plant remote bombs and set them off everywhere. This game really has a lot going for it, and one of its best features is the multiplayer. You can have up to 4 players where you play in this arena-like setting, and the last man standing wins. This multiplayer was a huge reason why everyone was buying this game. It even inspired tons of other first-person shooters multiplayer modes. It's simple and fun, and I love it. This game was actually one of the best-selling N64 games ever made, and proved to the world that the James Bond 007 series could work perfectly in the video game world. Now, the 007 series was having a lot of success at this point on home consoles. But what about the handheld market? Yep, up next we have James Bond 007 on the Game Boy. Released in 1997, this was another interesting game that felt unique and fun. The graphics may not have aged well, but that didn't ruin the gameplay at all. We start off in China, where we are tasked with finding a large arms ring. And no, not that arms ring. We start off by talking to some people around China, and there's no way that they could get away with having these characters look like this nowadays. In this game, you want to go around and find items located across different locations and give said items to people so that you can continue on with the story. Now this can be a little repetitive, but I kind of enjoyed it actually. Every character feels interesting to talk to, and the dialogue is amazing, and the payoff is worth it in the end when you get to fight a boss. The bosses are really fun to fight. Now sure, these bosses make me question why Bond looks like he's dancing instead of fighting. But even so, it's a fun time. The combat in this game is simple but fun, and I love it. You get to travel across the entire world in this game, something we wouldn't see again until Sonic Unleashed. You feel more like a spy in this game instead of a cruel serial killer. And this game has gambling, which automatically makes it awesome. One thing I will mention is the fact that this game does get a big spike in difficulty whenever you're in an enemy base. And yeah, that's annoying, but that still doesn't mean it's a bad game. I mean, come on, the final boss is a giant robot. What's not to like here? In the end, I rescue my girlfriend, who I didn't even know about, and we lived happily ever after. Until I got called away for a new mission. So, later, girl! Now, a few years later, we got a follow-up to GoldenEye 007 called Tomorrow Never Dies. And guess who this was published by? Ah, crap. Yep, this game was published by everyone's favorite company, EA. Now, unlike GoldenEye, this game was exclusive to the PlayStation and was a third-person shooter, and didn't even get a multiplayer mode, which was a huge letdown. This game's based off the movie Tomorrow Never Dies, so most of the missions you do came straight from the movie. You can cross the China/Russia border, you can escape from a Russian radar base on skis, and you parachute off a cliff just like in the movie. When this game released, a lot of game critics downvoted it, saying it was too different from GoldenEye, and it felt like every mediocre shooter out there. The game also has a new auto-aim system, and it's pretty helpful because trying to aim your shots can be kinda tricky. The controls just feel so sluggish and slow. I mean, trying to snipe someone can take forever. I will give the game credit though, there are plenty of cool new features here, like new and improved weapons and upgrades, and an extra life system that lets you continue with your mission after you got shot several times in the face. You can even drive a car in this game. Wow, thanks EA! Now, while I like these new additions, the game itself is just alright. I mean, the story and new gameplay mechanics are fine, but the game just doesn't control very well, and the level design is more linear than in the GoldenEye game. I'd give it a C- at best. Now, Tomorrow Never Dies is alright and all, but fans wanted to return to formula for this series, so the team that worked on Tomorrow Never Dies made The World Is Not Enough. This game was on both the N64 and PlayStation, so everyone wins here, right? Except Dreamcast owners, of course. So like other Bond games, this one is also based on a movie called The World Is Not Enough. The title screen has a cutout of a sexy lady, which is already a sign saying, I'm about to rescue a sexy lady somewhere in this. We start out the game by exploring a bank, and I gotta say, it's nice to see the first-person perspective return. Don't get me wrong, I love third-person perspective games, but I loved how GoldenEye truly made you feel like you were a secret agent. There's also voice acting in this game.
Good afternoon, sir. Can I help you?
The name's Bond. James Bond.
I mean, I never said the voice acting was great, but it still has it. Unfortunately, our time at the bank gets cut short, because we need to defend ourselves from armed men and escape. We can even use our watch as a weapon, although it kinda looks like Mr. Bond is asking for a fist bump.
Before I say goodbye to you, one more last fist bump.
One of the biggest differences between this game and the original GoldenEye is the fact that there's a lot more stealth sections involved in this game. There's 14 missions throughout this game, and a good portion of them have stealth sections. Sometimes if you get caught, you can just straight up fail the mission entirely. However, we do have silent weapons that can help take down guards without giving yourself up. This game also has the best gadgets out of any games in the series so far. It also brings back the competitive multiplayer. Yes! You can even adjust the rule settings in the multiplayer mode, like adding enemies everywhere. The game just had a lot of great mechanics to it, and there's a lot of level variety here. But I still don't think it's as good as GoldenEye. GoldenEye was just more open and it felt like your own adventure. And this game has more stealth mechanics and scripted events. Again, I love this game, but still prefer GoldenEye. Now, if you love the car sections in these games, then surely you'll love 007 Racing on the PlayStation. This game starts off with an amazing intro.
Now pay attention, 007. I want you to take great care of this equipment.
Man, he sure took care of that equipment. So, unlike other Bond games, this game is focused entirely on the vehicles. However, this isn't actually a racing game, it's more of a mission-based journey where you shoot a lot of stuff with your car. So if you're expecting 007 Kart, you're out of luck. There's even a story to this game. James Bond basically needs to travel across the world so that he can locate a weaponized virus and save the world. Not the best story by any means, but it's acceptable. There's also loads of cheats that you can learn from a bunch of horny women.
Looking for something, James? Or just looking? Either way, I hope this will whet your appetite for adventure.
I gotta say, this game controls really well. Steering the car is simple, and it feels really exciting traveling at high speeds to all these cool locations. Wait, one more time? What was that? The level design is also super great. Everything is laid out perfectly. However, the game still has its cons. Some levels are way too hard and require a lot of hard work to beat. Also, the graphics haven't aged well. I mean, have you seen that woman? And the story, like I said, is not that great. Thankfully, this game also has a multiplayer mode, and it's super fun. It's competitive, open world, has awesome weapons, and you can use every vehicle in the game. Man, I can't wait to drive my car, am I right? Overall, it's a great game, and I'd recommend it to anybody. Next we have James Bond 007 Agent Under Fire. This game was released back in 2001 and was originally only on PS2, but it got released on GameCube and Xbox the following year. And as always, it has a sexy cutout of a woman on the title screen. Now, believe it or not, this game isn't based off of any Bond movie. It's an original piece of art. Man, that's exactly what the guy in McDonald's parking lot told me when he sold me this for $2,000. Like the other games before, this is another first-person shooter with a whole bunch of new weapons and gadgets to choose from. We even get a grappling hook that lets us get to new areas fast and easily. I can even hack into things to solve puzzles. This is totally awesome. So do you guys do this kind of thing in real life?
That is classified information.
The controls just work so well and the graphics aren't half bad if you don't look at the characters' faces, that is. There are two complaints I have with this game though. One being the dumb story that just feels super weird and uninspired, and two being the constant usage of on-rail sequences. Yeah, there's a lot of moments where I'm just on top of an auto-moving vehicle, shooting everything in my path, and while it can be fun for a little bit, I don't want to do it over and over again. I get it, it looks cool, but I don't want to do it constantly. At least this game has some cool and creative vehicle sections. And of course, let's welcome back the multiplayer mode. And man, is it good. The maps are better than ever before, and there's more weapon variety here and gadgets that you can use. Overall, it's a pretty good mode. And that's all I really have to say about this game. Up next, we have 007 Nightfire, my favorite thing to see at night. So this game really stood out to me because, man, this game was such a huge upgrade from the last. The graphics are so clean, the environment looks and feels so amazing. There's even a pretty interesting story this time. James is investigating a man who's in charge of a nuclear decommissioning company who is up to no good. So it's our job to stop him. We also have a lot of new characters who are actually useful and important to the plot. Then there's the gameplay. Honestly, it's pretty good. Once again, we have a first-person shooter, but instead of just running around from place to place and shooting everything in your path, you be more stealthy and sneak into places, like a fancy party that I wasn't invited to. This game does have some on-rail shooting parts, but thankfully there's not a lot of them, except for towards the end, but whatever. I gotta give the developers credit, this game is awesome. You can drive your car underwater, for God's sake. Last time I did that, it ended horribly. Dang it, Dora! This game really went above and beyond. It did help the developers have more time to work on it, to make sure everything looked good, and the multiplayer is back, and it's still as good as always. Wait, I can't use a jetpack anymore! Now, this game is great and all, but like a lot of the other games, it's super short. It's only about 2.5 hours long. That's shorter than Sonic Forces. At least it's still a fun game, and one of the best ones I've played so far. Unless, of course, you count the awful PC port of this game. Believe it or not, it's not just a port. No, they tried to change the game a little by adding even more super slow stealth sections, and the enemy AI is bad this time around. This person just stood there as I shot them, and get this, they got glitched and were frozen. The PC version was just plain awful, so I definitely recommend the console versions instead. Up next we have 007 Everything or Nothing. I feel like this game should have been named All or Nothing instead. So this game brings back the third-person formula used in Tomorrow Never Dies, and honestly, it works really well. The level design is great, and hiding behind cover while you auto-aim and shoot enemies really comes in handy. This game even has William Dafoe in it, so that made me buy 10 copies of it on eBay. Jaws also returns in this game, which made me buy 10 more copies of this game. And the game's longer than all the other ones. But some people still complain it was too short, like before it was 3 hours and now it is 5 hours long. However, that doesn't change the fact that the game is truly a good game. You can drive a motorcycle and finally get out of your car on your own. I'd also like to mention that they got the writers from the actual movies to make the story of this game, and that really paid off. The character models and animation look great, and it helped that a lot of it was made using real people. One of my favorite new features is being able to travel up and down buildings using the grappling gun. It just looks so neat just falling out of a window like this. There's also hand-to-hand combat. Why it took so long to implant into the series? I have no idea. We can even become invisible. Now the villains will never find me. Also, the multiplayer is back, but this time it's in a third-person perspective. You got new characters to play as, which is cool, but they're honestly pretty forgetful since they don't say anything. Also, there no longer is a versus mode. Instead of killing each other one by one, you work together to complete objectives in the level, like kill all the enemies or stop a bomb from going off. Honestly, I felt like the multiplayer was kind of boring here. I mean, it's nice to have co-op, yes, but why not have a versus mode too? But some of you are probably saying, but SuperSonicJB, there is an arena mode, which is just like a versus mode. And yes, there is. And it sucks. It's just a small fixed camera map where you pick up weapons and blast away. There's no strategy involved and it just isn't that fun. Overall, I really enjoyed this game. It played good and was another big step up for the series. So, quick question for you. What was the most dangerous mission you ever went on?
That would be when I went up against the evil Dr. Doorstep. He did something truly awful.
Man, what did he do? Try and destroy Mars?
No, Matros. He stole my copy of Bratz Rock Angels for the Nintendo GameCube.
Oh my god, what a monster. How did you beat him?
I broke his waifu figurine.
You're a monster.
No, I'm a spy. Here, let me show you. This is what he looks like before.
Oh god, he's hideous and he looks like a disgrace to humanity!
And this is him after.
He really needs a wife, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
So yeah, the last game was a big success and made the series stand out. But then Rogue Agent came out, and things started to go downhill. So this game is supposed to be a sequel to GoldenEye, but with a new twist on things. In this game, James Bond dies. Yep, they just killed off the main character. But don't worry, because this game takes place in an alternated reality, kind of like how my last video was. So in this game, the villains are fighting for total control over the world, and you get to play as an MI6 agent who has a robot eye. That's gold, so GoldenEye? Eh? This is another first-person shooter, and while it does have a large world to explore, it's honestly a pretty forgetful game. The controls and movement feel so stiff, and the levels themselves lack any creativity and fun. I mean, is this really even a Bond game without Bond himself? Probably not. Now the multiplayer is kind of entertaining, the maps are kind of cool there, some of the gadgets are nice, but still the controls just make it feel like a chore to play through. I honestly didn't play this game all the way through, so I got nothing else to say to it besides goodbye. Since the last game was a failure, EA had to make a change. So their next game was revolved around a story from the past, with Sean Connery back as playing James Bond. Yep, up next we have 007 from Russia with Love. So in this game, Bond needs to locate a coding device before the organization called Octopus gets in the way. Not the greatest story in the world, but hey, at least they added more action than the original film had. So this is once again a third-person shooter that plays similar to Everything or Nothing. It still has the auto-aiming and there's still melee combat, although it features quick time events this time around. Hooray! I gotta say, this game just wasn't that entertaining. It felt like the level design was lazily thrown together, and they downgraded all the weapons. Yeah, I get that this took place in the 60s, but couldn't they at least add more to environments or something? Now, there are a lot of nice references to the original Bond movies, but it wasn't enough to make the game feel great. At least the multiplayer is pretty good. You can set up traps for your enemies, and it controls really well. Overall, the game wasn't anything too special, but I did like the multiplayer, so that's fine. Also, what the heck did Sean do wrong with his James Bond voice?
That wound doesn't look good. You'd better leave Trelinko to me. And a friend be in debt.
So, From Russia with Love sold terribly, and EA decided to abandon the 007 series, and Activision bought it up and started working on a new game. It was titled 007 Quantum of Solace. Here's my first issue with this game. Yes, I'm starting with an issue here. The game's story is supposed to balance out between two films from the series, one being Casino Royale and the other being Quantum of Solace. Merging these two films into one video game made the story super confusing, especially if you haven't seen the movies. The game itself is a combination of the first-person shooter and third-person shooter mechanic. 1 minute you'll be running across the map in first person, and you'll be hiding behind some rebels shooting at people in third person. While this is fun and all, it basically plays the exact same way as Call of Duty does. For example, shooting is just like Call of Duty, and you regenerate health automatically, also just like Call of Duty. Look, I get that this game was made around the time COD was popular and all, but couldn't they make this feel like an actual 007 game? The level design is also super linear and non-open. It's kind of like I'm traveling down a straight hallway. I mean, where are all the cool spy gadgets and vehicle sections at? This is 007, not Call of Duty. Come on, Activision! And yep, the multiplayer is back, and it sucks just like this game. Yeah, I think I'll just move on to the next game, shall we? Up next we have 007 Bloodstone. So that's what was on this stone I found earlier. This game, like some of the others, is its own original storyline, and isn't based on a movie. This entire game is played in a third-person perspective, and it honestly plays better, in my opinion, than the last game. The controls feel pretty good, and the level design is much more open than the last game, so that's a plus. There's a lot more emphasis on stealth here, but at least it's fun to sneak up on your enemies, and it feels rewarding to take them down. We even have this new aim focus ability that lets us handle enemies very easily. You can select who you want to shoot in slow motion, and BAM! You got him! And yes, they brought back the car chases, and these sections are actually pretty fun. The car's movement feels really realistic, and it's fun to drive around these open world maps with them. However, the game's boring story and basic shooting sections really made this game feel stale in my opinion. Shooting behind cover hasn't changed a bit, and it still feels repetitive and uninspired. Then the multiplayer comes and oh boy was it bad. It constantly lagged like crazy, and it didn't stay online for very long because it was so bad. In the end, I'd say this game is better than Quantum, but it still didn't do enough to make the series stand out. So unfortunately, at this point, the 007 series was really starting to die off. But then Activision went ahead and did the unthinkable. Yep, they remade GoldenEye 007 on the Wii, 360, and PS3. And I gotta say, it was awesome. The graphics are so much better here, and the environments are more open and have more to do in them. The story has been changed though to fit in with the more modern times, but it's still a great story with beautiful cutscenes to boot. We also get more unique spy weapons to use for puzzle solving and combat. Now the remake did so much right, but I still prefer the original honestly. The original just had a sense of adventure that I feel like the remake missed out on. Even the villains feel like less of a threat in this game. The multiplayer is bad too, and while it's fun and all, it hasn't really evolved at all here. This type of gameplay may have worked back then, but considering how much shooters have evolved recently, this didn't feel that special really. I will give Activision credit, they did do a great job of remaking this game, but I wish they made it feel like I was a kid again playing GoldenEye for the first time. And last but certainly not least, we have 007 Legends. This was the final game in this series, well, so far at least. Let's hope it ends with a bang. So 007 Legends is a collection of moments from the 007 adventures throughout the years. Kind of like Sonic Generations, but not really. You make your way through different stories from the movies, like battling Goldfinger or avenging your murdered friend Felix. We even get to travel to space, like in the movie Moonraker. Now this whole concept may sound good on paper, but it honestly isn't as good as you think. It's a mess jumping from one scenario to another. Bond's supposedly in a coma and is trying to remember events from his past. I hope he doesn't remember. Oh god, no, not that! So this game is another FPS, and it actually plays really well. Yet, Activision still makes it feel too much like Call of Duty. Like, what happened to being a spy here, Activision? The game does have some cool minigames you can play on your phone. And no, not your actual phone, his phone. You also get a pen that shoots darts. Yeah, why can't every pen do that? You can also customize and upgrade your weapons, which is a nice touch. At least there's no quick time events, oh son of a bitch. Yep, the melee combat is back, and it's all quick time events. Cause why the heck not? Let's hope the multiplayer is good. Psst, spoiler alert, it's not. It's literally a clone of Call of Duty, like pretty much every 007 game when Activision took over. Now, I may not be a huge fan of EA, but at least they made the 007 games their own thing instead of Call of Duty clones. I just could not like 007 Legends in the end. Like at this point, the series was as dead as can be, and it was time for Mr. Bond to finally retire.
Well, looks like my mission here was a success, which means it's time for me to go.
But you didn't do anything besides sit here and drink my milk.
Hey, listen. I taught you how to be a spy.
But all we did was play a whole bunch of spy video games.
And didn't you learn a bunch about how to be a spy from playing those games?
I guess, but aren't spies supposed to go out and save the world and help those in need? Not just sit here play video games all day like I don't have a life?
Hey, don't look at me, I'm not the expert.
Wait, aren't you a spy?
I gotta go, my boss is calling me, probably about a new mission.
Wait, can I keep the suit?
You like funerals? Now this is real spy work.